Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again this morning for our devotion time here on Life in Focus podcast. Pray you've enjoyed this week already, as we've just really been talking about the subject of how to go about overcoming adversities in our lives. And one of the main things is we've got to begin to receive the right instruction. Also understand that no matter what age we find ourselves in, we can be productive for the Lord. We can bring forth fruit that would be pleasing to God. Today, the Lord takes us to 2 Timothy chapter 2, and Paul is writing to Timothy about a lot of different things concerning his ministry, concerning his life in general. And one thing that he always encouraged Timothy to guard against was the fact that he was so young and the things that he was having to go through in life as a young person. To pay particularly attention to his focus and where his focus needed to remain. And his focus always needed to remain on the Lord. There's a lot of things that come into our lives when we're younger that can set the pattern for our adult life. And the hard reality is that there are still people today, perhaps even listening to this devotion this morning, and you are struggling with issues in your life that really can be traced back to when you were younger, that you're still having to deal with those things or haven't overcome those things in your life. And so Paul writes to Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse number 22. He says, "Flee also youthful desires, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace, for with them that call on the Lord with a pure heart." See, youthful desires are not limited always to our physical attractions. Sometimes we put the emphasis on that when we're young, but Paul is talking about a lot deeper issue in the life of young people. They include excessive desires for popularity, for acceptance, for worldly success, and for career and academic achievements. And if we're honest this morning, there are many who never really outgrow that. Even as adults, they still struggle with popularity, what other people might think of them, rather than pursuing the things that God has for them, no matter what anybody else has to say. The desires that Paul warns us against here are any of the short-sighted cravings of our youth for personal pleasure or for personal gain, rather than for personal godliness. Youthful desires, they can include any hunger or any ambition that distracts you from your pursuit for true faith, true love, and true peace. It's interesting here that Paul is not content with telling us to just flee our youthful desires. He also commands us to follow a pure-hearted devotion to God. If you'll go back and look in the original language of the writing of the Bible, the word follow was a really strong word. Jesus used it many times when he called his disciples, when he called the apostles. He said, "Follow me." That word follow means in order to move toward God, you've got to flee the things of the flesh. And one of the greatest encouragements for people as they pursue Christ is to follow after him. To follow after him with those that call on the Lord themselves out of a pure heart. And one of the best ways to do that is to surround yourself with good friends. Good friends are a great help to the Christian life. They're especially crucial when you're young, because the atmosphere and the environment you put around you when you're young will help mold and shape your view of life, and also help you and exalt you to pursue the things and keep you focused on the things that God has for you. So young people today, remember to flee not only the fleshly temptations, but also follow after Christ as your Lord. And look for good friends who will help you pursue that ambition. I speak that blessing over you today. Yesterday we talked a lot about how we are in our older age. Today, for whatever reason, God has drawn us back to when we were younger. So if there's anyone listening to this devotion today, maybe you're a young person, maybe you're a young adult just trying to find your footing in this world, flee all of those things that's trying to follow you out of your youth and follow hard after the Lord today. You won't always be the most popular person. You won't always finish first in everything that you do. But if you do this, if you do your best to be your best, God will take care of the rest. You be safe, you be strong, and you be blessed today. Lord's will, we'll see you back here again tomorrow. Until then, I sure hope you have a great day today.